What's up, guys? It's Griffin Steinfeld here, and today I wanted to talk about first modifications to your car. So you just got your car and you got the bug, you want to start modding it and making it faster, handle better, so on and so forth. I'm going to tell you the best few things to do to your car right off the bat to have the most fun, not spend that much money, and of course make it faster. And I'm actually going to show you on my 01 C506 Corvette, and I've actually done these things myself. So right when you get your car, the very first thing I do is change all the fluids. Change the coolant, the engine oil and filter, trans oil, and the differential oil. And those of you guys that have the trucks or the all-wheel drive cars, transfer case and the front diff oil as well. It's also very important. That way, just oils is like the blood of the car. It makes everything run smooth, keeps everything lubricated and cool, and don't cheap out on oil. That is the biggest thing I've learned ever, pretty much building cars. And I've torn down motors with that have been run with cheap, crappy oil, and you could see the inside of the motor, how it's deteriorated, and the bearings have just looks like they've been beat up, versus a motor that's had real high-end oil in it, nice oil, and that was changed at the correct intervals, and everything looks good for a real high mileage motor. So definitely don't cheap out on your oil. Now, as far as power goals, the first couple things I do in my cars, and I see everyone do, which is good, is intake and exhaust. What that does is you open up basically the mouth of the motor. You allow more air in, you can combust more air and fuel, and if you let it out easier, the motor can make more power. So I'll show you here. This is my Haltech cold air intake, and as you can see, it's got a big giant air filter on it, and compared to the stock Corvette air filter, it was in a box that was all choked up and caused a lot of restriction, and therefore it hurt horsepower. Next thing is exhaust. When you put aftermarket headers on a car, you take the catalytic converters out normally, and what that does is it alleviates back pressure. Now, back pressure is kind of like the black myth of do you need it or do you not need it, or does it make a difference, or does or doesn't. Me personally, what I've seen with cars naturally aspirated, meaning no turbos or superchargers, is that you need back pressure. So with that being said, do a lot of research on the diameter of the primary tube coming off the head into the header. Okay, and I'll show you that right here. This right there, that's your primary. That is the tube that goes down to your exhaust, underneath the car, so on and so forth, out the back. And if it's a street car that you daily drive or drive a lot, I recommend getting something a little on the smaller side. So I had the option of going 1 3/4 inch primaries, 1 7/8, and 2 inch. I chose the smaller 1 3/4 to keep low end torque. When you choose a smaller primary, you have, you can keep your low end torque. Therefore, when you're just cruising around town at low RPMs, it doesn't feel like it's a dog or it lost a lot of power, because when you open up your exhaust system, you're taking all that back pressure away. So that you are going to feel a shift in power. You're going to lose a little bit on the bottom end, but you're going to make up for it on top, in your upper RPM range. So with that being said, the more work you can do to your exhaust, the better. If you can just do a catback, you're still gaining horsepower, because you're taking away that big ugly muffler that makes it quiet, and who likes quiet fast cars. We do it for the sound and for the performance. Next thing is brakes, and Corvette brakes are real good off from the factory. The only thing you really need to do, and this goes for any car really, is just change the brake pads. Get a more aggressive pad on there, and a better brake fluid with a higher boiling temp, like a .4 versus a .3, and you can get that stuff at your local parts store. Personally, I run Motul RBF 600. That has a 600 degree boiling temperature versus half that, which is the factory fluid. That just means the fluid can go up to higher temperatures without boiling. And when you start to boil brake fluid, you have that like squishy pedal sensation, and it starts to kind of feel like it gets brake fade, which is a little scary. I'll show you here another thing. Excuse my extremely dirty wheels because this car is my daily. You can see that the rotors have pretty deep ridges in them. That is because I'm running a real aggressive pad on this to get the maximum performance out of it. And the benefits of that is decreased stopping distances, and they are able to take more heat, so you can run the car harder, longer, and not run into brake fade. The downside to that is that, like I just showed you, it chews the rotors up. So, I have to do pads and rotors every single oil change, which is about every 3,500 to 4,000 miles. So, it's to each their own. And if you want to go fast and stop fast, you gotta be prepared to fork over the money for good parts. And with that being said, going fast is not the cheapest thing in the world, but if you do these first couple modifications to your car, you're going to be on the right track. You're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to keep some money in your pocket. Before you start really diving into your motor, doing internal work or forced induction or doing big suspension work. Just take your time modifying your cars, learn about them. The more time you spend under the hood, the more familiar you get with it, and the more time you spend on the computer looking at what people did and seeing what works and what didn't work, the more money you're going to save. That's how I do all my research. Doesn't matter if I'm buying a turbo or an intake or a clutch. I spend ridiculous amount of time researching that part to make sure that that is the best part for what I'm doing with the car, and for price and all that stuff. So yeah, there's the first couple things to do to your car, and I hope you found it beneficial. And I'd like to ask you guys a question, and what would you like to see next on my next future video? So if go ahead and comment in the comment section, like and subscribe, share the video, and see you guys next week. See ya.